The National Enquirer is at it again, doing what the National Enquirer does. This time, threatening Jeff Bezos because they have his nude photos. A teen gets a nice payday from Apple for discovering the Facetime bug, and new emojis are soon coming your way. Rejoice! We've got some new apps to tell you about, including one that is a must-have for audio or video content creators, and we'll also take a look at how a simple video game can mean the world to a group of people, especially when one of them passes from this life to the next. Listened to by at least one nerd in his mother's basement, we're here to embrace the geeks of the world with a big geeky hug. So come on, bring it in.
Ready for your hot fix of tech news with the latest apps, sexy software, and groovy gadgets? You got it with the bad boys of tech. Take it away, gentlemen.
And welcome, everybody, to the Bad Boys of Tech, the show for the nerds, geeks, dweebs, and all the other ones that, like us, were high school rejects, but now somehow ended up being the cool kids. I'm Joel Comm, that's Travis Wright, and that is Stuart Rogers. Welcome, gents.
Well, thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
It's beautiful to be here.
Stuart's about to fall asleep because it is very, very late in the UK.
Yeah, I literally just got in from Marrakesh, so I've been traveling today. I'm only sleeping on this very, very, very nice-looking bed behind me for a few hours, and then I'm going to head to San Francisco tomorrow morning.
For those that don't know, Stuart is the digital nomad, and previous to the show, I asked this question, which I will now share with the rest of you. When you travel, Stuart, how much do you actually take with you?
So all I own in the world is the contents of my suitcase and my backpack, which is approximately 73 pounds worth of stuff. That's it. That's my entire life.
Your entire life, 73 pounds? That's nice. So you don't have a lot of space to be carrying around a whole lot of gadgets then, do you?
No, I have to be really, really careful about adding anything to any of that. So, yeah, I mean, it's got to be small and flat, basically.
It's nice when you go to events and they give you speakers gifts and you're like, well, thank you for this really nice, heavy, awkward thing that I got to take with me now. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with it.
Yeah, you should, anytime you go to a conference where I've been speaking and they give you a speaker's gift, just go trawling around the thrift shops afterwards. You'll find the speaker's gift there somewhere. I give it to charity, and then the charity makes money out of it, which is great.
Very good.
Most awesome. Well, gentlemen, let's say we jump into this week's tech news. Yes. First up, Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, and apparently he is he's under a threat of publishing some stuff that he probably doesn't want to be published.
That is true, and he actually did his own personal blog post to talk about the extortion, and he says that basically the National Enquirer is threatening to publish his nude photos, and so he went out, he did a blog post on Medium talking about the whole thing, sharing the conversations back and forth that he had with the National Enquirer, and apparently they have pictures of his junk, and they're like, we're gonna put these pictures on the internet, and he's like, wow. And so he wrote a big long article about the whole process.
I think the funniest thing was the headline, and I'm looking for it right now. I'm not finding the image at the moment, but wasn't it something about his pecker?
It was no thank you, Mr. Pecker, because Mr. Pecker is the man at National Enquirer. Why is it that whenever these things come up, pun intended, the name of the person is always mildly suggestive. We've already had Wiener, right?
Yeah,
Wiener. This Mr. Pecker. The next one's probably going to be something like Mr. Hardwood. I mean, just what the hell? Come on,
Jim Balls or something.
the law firm of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
Yeah. So it was great. The whole process here, they says, here's our proposed terms. We'd like and so they're going back and forth and they're kind of negotiating, about this whole thing. I don't know. Do you think Bezos did the smart thing by sort of taking this front and center and making his junk the big topic, or should he have let it run its course? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, he's just being proactive, and as long as his junk is normal, like who really cares, right? The pictures. Let's see. It says here the photos in question include a full-length body selfie of Mr. Bezos wearing just a pair of tight black boxer briefs or trunks, a naked selfie in a bathroom wearing nothing but a white towel, among others, including an explicit dick pic. Like, who really cares? What are people going to do? Like, oh, he's got a penis. Yeah, I'm still the richest man in the world. Suck it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean, yeah, never mind.
Literally. It's a $60 billion dick pic, though.
Who?
I mean, his ex-wife is going to be walking off with a huge load of cash.
No.
And the show is already gone downhill. By the way, I was looking in the title of the show for alliteration because I got big bucks for Bezos and I ended up with banana, but I did find this website with 221 penis nicknames for those who would be interested in seeing what those might be. But I found it particularly funny that during the Middle Ages, they called it a spindle or a fiddle.
A spindle or a fiddle.
Mm-hmm.
That puts a whole new meaning to Fiddler on the Roof, doesn't it?
And if you look through the list of those during the 1890s, you had, I don't even know what that means, the coney catcher,
Coney catcher?
the flapdoodle, and of course the ever popular live rabbit.
That's ridiculous.
Funny euphemisms from way back in the day. Very nice.
Coney catcher sounds like something you might float in the water off Coney Island to catch lobster. I don't know.
A lobster was also another nickname for it, according to this list.
You can name it anything you want. It's if you have one.
Wow.
It's yours.
Yeah. Okay, moving right along. What else we got?
All right. Yeah, next up, you guys have used the app Waze. Some of you used the app Waze before. Love that app. It's very helpful. I know whenever you're out traveling around and trying to avoid things. But now cops are insisting Waze users stop snitching on DWI checkpoints. They want to make sure that their trap is set, and they don't want you telling people where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. We're trying to get drunk drivers over here.
I found it handy while driving to have Waze up to let me know if there are police. Because look, we've used radar detectors and sometimes I do speed just a little bit and I don't mind knowing if there's a police officer ahead. But like if you're driving drunk, screw you. I hope you get busted and thrown in jail. That's all I say to that.
Yeah, don't drink and drive. That's why they have Ubers and Lyft and all these other ride sharing car platforms now. There's no excuse to be drinking and driving anymore. Literally. Be responsible.
No.
You're over 21 these days. Come on. Unless you're under 21. Then drink and drive all you like.
No, don't do that.
Do
Do it at all. That's so bad.
For legal reasons, do not do that.
Yeah,
Do not.
That's all bad.
Of course not.
Not just legal reasons for the actual legal reasons for not doing that, but for legal reasons, do not accept that Travis said that under any circumstances.
None.
That was called sarcasm.
Let's hope that people take it that way, or else the Bad Boys of Tech podcast might be the shortest-lived podcast in the history of podcasts.
Well, we're already episode 4. There's other podcasts that do not have that many, so
they haven't made it this far. Here's a story that Stuart you brought to us about the Cambridge Analytical scandal. What's going on here?
Yeah, so Netflix aired a documentary called The Great Hack, and it's all about Cambridge Analytica. It's all about the scandal. It's all about everything that happened. I'm sure people know the story, but in case you have been living under some kind of rock, or you just like to ignore all news about Facebook, Cambridge Analytica grabbed hold of 87 million Facebook users' data. They did it in lots of nefarious ways, and this is the story of what happened. It's the story of the guy that tried to or went ahead and sued Facebook, as to try and figure out what was actually happening here. It's been turned into this massive drama, and it's gone down really well. It's been not massively critically acclaimed, but certainly in terms of people that have seen it, they've enjoyed it. It's made a bigger drama out of it. I know this is ages old now. I mean, we knew about what was happening at Cambridge Analytica even like 2 years before the news came out. Like, everybody knew what was going on. We're not sure why it took so long to get the news out in the first place, but now you can relive the whole entire thing via the power of Netflix.
Cambridge Analytica hacked my vote. They turned me into a Russian troll.
Yeah. You know what I find is interesting about this is that so Cambridge Analytica did what they did, sort of on the back end. They were using scraping tools or whatever things that they were doing. But it's also a well-known fact that, in 2012, Facebook allowed over 1 million people, even actually way more than that, it looks like, with the Obama for America app, and they provided Obama with all kinds of data that they didn't provide Trump or any of the other candidates. And then Cambridge Analytica said, oh, okay, well, we'll go ahead and grab that data anyway. And so is it fair for these big tech companies to decide who they give the data to and who they don't give the data to? Because that's a big problem. I mean, if they're going to give it to Democrats and then not give it to Republicans, or if they're going to give it to Republicans and not give it to Democrats, that seems to not be above board to me. Any thoughts on that, gentlemen? No? Blank faces?
I agree. So this film, the review in this article on The Verge is from Sundance, and The Great Hack is going to be distributed by Netflix, and it's said that they are going to release it sometime later this year. So we will watch for that. Good news for the teen that found the bug in the FaceTime app on the iPhone. Remember, we covered this, I think, a couple weeks ago, that there was a FaceTime bug that allowed you to call somebody and listen in on their conversation, whether they picked up the phone or not. And typically, these bug bounties that these big tech companies pay out are only given to those that are invited to test the system. But this 14-year-old teen named Grant Thompson found the bug, and Apple's confirmed that they're going to pay him because it saved them millions of dollars.
How much are they paying him? I know this says they have a bounty program. The program has payouts of up to $200,000, but it does not say exactly how much the 14-year-old's going to get. And he literally just stumbled upon it, I think is what it sounded like, because he was trying to add some other friends to the thing, but somebody hadn't answered yet. And so he was like trying to connect with somebody. And then it's this new group chat feature, right? And so by doing that, it's like, here, I'm talking to Joel, trying to get Joel on. And then he was quickly trying to add Stuart. And then now Joel didn't answer, but now he can hear Joel's conversation. And you heard him going, oh, I ain't picking up this damn call. It's Travis. I'm like, screw that guy. I want to talk to him.
Yeah, that's no good. I think I read somewhere 25,000. That's where the bug bounties start, but I have not been able to corroborate that. Have you seen anything, Stuart?
No, I haven't been able to corroborate that. I'm also a little bit mad, but I gave up developing software when I was, around about 16. I found it really dull and boring. I learned how to program computers when I was about 7. I had my first 2 video games come out when I was 12. If I'd have just carried on with that, eventually I could have got $25,000 for finding bugs. I mean, it's a long payoff, right? 141 years to earn $25,000, but would have been nice.
But you wouldn't have had an Apple phone anyway. You're not a big iPhone fan. So do you even have an iOS device at all, an iPad or anything?
I'm proud to say I've never given Apple a single cent of my hard-earned cash, and it will always continue to be that way.
Apple hater.
Well,
No.
I'm going to put that on my Apple Watch right now. Store that.
No, not an Apple hater. I'm just a realist.
Nice. Okay. You love the Googles, huh? Even though Googles is being a little nefarious on their own, you're trusting of the Googles.
All of the big corporations are nefarious, which I think is how you pronounce it, Travis.
Nefarious, however. All good.
Tomato. I think they're all, nefarious in one way or the other. I just prefer the devices that are used by 85% of the world and not 15.
Gotcha.
How much do we trust these devices? And in particular, leading up to this next article, how much do we trust the digital identity that is being created for us?
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
This is an interesting graphic right here because it talks about your digital identity has 3 layers, and you can only protect one of them.
What are these 3 layers we speak of?
So the layers are what you share. That's the thing that you can control, is the information that you're out there sharing. And it just talks, this graphic has all kinds of different things, like your uploaded photos, your photo metadata, your text and surveys, your contacts, usernames, et cetera, emails used, all that stuff. You can control that. But what your behavior tells them, that's that next layer of data, that all the information that you're sharing is telling about your behavior. You don't control that. And then also that next layer above that is what the machine is thinking about you. So as we get into this world where AI and machine learning is making decisions, and decisions about you, and decisions about what content to show you, and decisions about which advertisements to show you, those are areas that are uncontrolled by us. So we can only control our own data and the things that we share. And the behavior is going to give some information, and the machine is going to think certain things about you and show you certain information based on what it thinks about you. And there's not much you can do to control that.
I don't care what the machine thinks of me. Machine can go pound sand, as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
you don't know me, machine.
Yeah.
What I like, really where we're going at the moment is in Davos, as we've discussed, like, quite a few blockchain-based or non-blockchain-based, data sovereignty solutions coming out, and I really like that. The idea of data sovereignty is basically to give you control of your data back, or at least to have some kind of bargaining chip for your data. So, if you decide to give a little bit more up to a company, they have to give you more back in return, right? And, I like that idea. I feel like what you share, yes, that then obviously causes a domino effect, and machine learning is going to go and make assumptions based on what you share. But wouldn't it be nice if when you share, you decide exactly what you share, and the more you share, you get more value back, and you get that from everybody? And there's some really neat solutions that are coming out right now that we'll see in the very near future that are hopefully going to give us that kind of control. But it's going to take a long, long time for that kind of data sovereignty solution to come into anything that's got scale, like Facebook or WhatsApp or Instagram or anything that Facebook owns. Basically it's going to take ages. But data sovereignty, love the idea of it. I think it has legs.
Do you see those as being blockchain-based solutions then, since we're talking about sovereignty?
The data sovereignty fits into blockchain beautifully because of the distributed ledger technology and the fact that it's all nice and transparent. It does fit there, but it doesn't need to be blockchain in the slightest. You can have data sovereignty without blockchain.
I like this. We've actually, Joel and I, over the past couple of weeks, we've chatted with, I believe, at least 5 solutions that are doing stuff in a decentralized social media fashion where the users are being rewarded with some sort of crypto token for their activity, and creators are being rewarded, and you have control of your data. Nobody owns it. And a lot of these are going to be completely decentralized, where there are, people who are helping build the foundation and build the platforms, but they're actually be taking tokens and then not own any of the platforms. So that way these projects can become completely decentralized. And I think that's becoming more and more important as we move forward in this age where these big Silicon Valley tech companies can deplatform you if they don't like what you're talking about. Like that happened with Joel and I with bad crypto. YouTube said, we don't like crypto content, and they shut our YouTube channel off.
We don't like some crypto content, and so we're randomly going to ban about 100 accounts, which we were included. But meanwhile, there's tons that's still out there, and some of them are doing some bad stuff.
Yeah, we never once pump and dumped anything, and all of a sudden, a lot of these sites that are like pumping random crap coins, they're still on the platform, but somehow we didn't even have a strike against us. And then Apple did the exact same thing where they took us offline for 5 days. We didn't even know it because they thought we were keyword stuffing one of the fields, when in actuality that was just the description of our, news for Bitcoin, blockchain, and cryptocurrency. Those are 3 keywords we'd like to have in there. They shut us off and made us clean that up. And so that's what's crazy, is that there's such a thin thread between the creators and the audience now. And if one of these big platforms say they take you away, then you have been split apart from your audience, and you can no longer contact them because you're not allowed to be on that platform. That's a problem.
Well, don't show your whole hand, Mr. Travis Wright, because if we're gonna change the world, we don't want to let people know how we're doing it quite yet.
Here's another story right here I want to talk about, you guys, about, and I think Stuart will have a really interesting perspective on this. Is will AI will it put lawyers out of business? And now with machine learning and with blockchain and some of these other emerging technologies out there, and there a lot of times. Here's a case that's happened multiple times before. It's in the law books. There's precedent already set up. AI could come back and say, our determination is this. Is AI going to disrupt the legal space, Mr. Stuart Rogers?
I've covered stuff like this before. Artificial intelligence could very well replace law. It really could. I mean, it is a really good use case for it. Artificial intelligence could replace government. I'd actually trust right now a government run by AI as opposed to what we have at the moment, which is a government that's run by somebody whose intelligence is artificial. But there's no reason why not. Absolutely no reason why not. And if you look at what has to happen in terms of most legal cases, especially when it comes to small claims, there's no reason for a judge to be sitting there making decisions on that kind of stuff. That could all be done with algorithms. Absolutely could be. Like, obviously, the more complex cases are going to be years and years and years down the road before we can come up with absolutely solid, 100% accurate algorithms that are going to make all the right decisions. But right now, all of that small claims stuff that goes through arbitration, and that could just be done by artificial intelligence. And there are companies out there doing it right now. I've covered it several times for VentureBeat over the years.
So does AI become kind of like God, and you're like you can't even disagree with it because it's AI and it said so, and it's the way that it is?
I think AI becoming God is a bit of a stretch.
Godlike. I'm not saying like God literal in the literal terms. I'm saying I think there's going to be people who just go, well, the AI said it, and so it's almost like the master control of on Tron. Well, it said it, and so that's the way it is.
Yeah, but let's take like a metaphor and think about self-driving cars for a second. So when a self-driving car killed a cyclist because the cyclist walked out right in front of the car, I mean, literally no human being would have been able to stop the car either, right? Mm-hmm. It made the news. It made the news massively because obviously a self-driving car has killed a human being. Human beings kill human beings in cars thousands and thousands and thousands of times a day. Actually, the safety record for self-driving cars is ridiculously good in comparison to human beings. Mm-hmm. And as we get self-driving cars all over the place, we'll actually be able to, like, if we got 100% self-driving cars, we'd be able to do away with traffic lights because the cars would know exactly what speed to crisscross over, and they'd never touch each other, and they wouldn't crash into each other, and we'll actually have incredibly safe automobile transport. That is AI, and if that's God or godlike, then I'm fine with it because that saved lives. And as far as applying that to law or any other case, I trust the AI to actually make more rational decisions than human beings do. Like, how many times in the news every single day do we see judges pardon people just because they went to Stanford, and they really should be thrown in prison for 25 years, but they get away with like 6 months of community service. Let's let AI have a chance, because I think it'll actually make better decisions than human beings anyway.
All we are saying is give AI a chance.
Yeah.
Right, let's do it. All right, cool news stories. Let's check out some of the stories we've got here in our apps section. This one is super, super, super important. This might be the biggest news of 2019, gentlemen, because the new iOS emojis are on the way.
We got to pull this up. Let's take a look at these new emojis over here.
We got waffles. We got emotional support and service dogs. We've got biracial relationships. We've got a meerkat and
orangutan looks like an onion.
This is literally the dullest thing ever.
Why you gotta be such a snob, Stuart? I mean, there's one in here that scroll down, Travis, because the one that So now in every race you can go ahead and say your dick is small. That's
I think that's completely reasonable. That's literally the only interesting emoji that's there. I was talking to people about service animals the other day. Have you noticed how people are just like getting the most ridiculous animals on planes by making them a service animal of some description? I really want to take like a service snake on a plane. I think that would be a really, really good thing.
Snakes on a plane.
Snakes on a plane, but because it's a service snake, they have to let me on with it. Or
as long as its name is Snake Plissken.
Oh, yeah, we could do that for sure. I'd like to take a little tarantula, maybe put like a high visibility jacket on it and say it's my, emotional support tarantula. I'd love to do that.
I feel really comfortable around this tarantula. I don't mind that everybody else does not feel comfortable around it, because it's all about me.
Yeah.
It's all about me.
I'm going to make that happen on one of my 75 flights this year. I'm going to figure out how to get an emotional support tarantula on the plane.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I thought was interesting is that it took years to finally get an orange heart, right? So you had every color heart except orange. So you couldn't do the rainbows of hearts. Like you're trying to send somebody like, I love you, the full spectrum. Now they have a brown heart and a white heart. They already have the black heart available. So now they got all the hearts. You got the tiny penis joke. They have a drop of blood, which the feminists have been adopting now as like, that's their menstrual cycle emoji now. That's true.
Oh my gosh.
That's true. Yeah, there was a whole article about that.
I love all of these, obviously. I still don't care.
Well, there's the ones for those that are differently abled, right? You've got the blind people with the walking stick. You've got people in wheelchairs.
Are blind people using emojis?
That's great. That's awesome.
I don't know that blind people are using emojis unless they're in Braille.
Well, let's move on from this emoji story to another emoji story, because The Verge has a tool they're talking about here that allows you to create emoji masterpieces with any image. And the tool is, oh my, this is really fascinating. Look at this. You could actually mouse over, scroll down to the next one, Travis, go down to the kitty. Now move your mouse back and forth over there. For those that are watching on video, you can see this original version of the photo and the emojis then that are used to make this piece of artwork.
Man, this is artistic as AF. Emoji art.
Did they have to use a picture of a poor cat getting throat punched for this test? Come on. They could have chosen any image.
Yeah, but look at the black cat behind the orange cat. He's like peeking. The orange cat is getting there's the black cat. He's just watching it all go down. He's like, World Star.
That's one of the best photo bombs ever.
It's actually an emoji mosaic. That's what it is. And I'm going to link in the show notes the website where you could do this yourself. You can upload any photo, and then it's going to process it, and it's going to turn it into a mosaic. And
it's going to turn it into a pile of absolute mush. What do we? What? Why? It's 2019. We don't need this. It's disastrous.
Why do you gotta crap on everything, Stuart? I mean, it's
because he's grumpy. It's late over there, and he's tired.
Grumpy old British man.
Just
bullocks. You call it bullocks.
There's nothing brilliant about that.
Yeah,
bullocks. That's what I say to that.
So what is the app? It's Emoji Mosaic. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. So it's
don't tell people the name of this app. It'll encourage them to go and use it.
It's going to be all over Instagram now, Stuart.
It's in the show notes, whether you like it or not, Stuart. And people are now going to go check it out for themselves. And maybe, just maybe, we'll link to, the Bad Boys of Tech emojified. Let's move on to something that Stuart would.
Could we just I just want to look straight down the camera. Please don't use that emoji mosaic, please.
Big news in the podcast world. Spotify is branching out. There's a couple podcast companies out there. One of them large, Gimlet, that produces some fantastic podcasts. And one of them, Anchor, which is an application that allows you to create your own podcast. And this week, Spotify announced that they are buying both Gimlet and Anchor. Terms are not yet announced exactly, but the Gimlet acquisition is reported to be worth about $230 million. And Spotify intends to spend as much as $500 million this year on acquisitions. Spotify, we are for sale, and we'd settle for $3 million for this podcast. So at least as of today, the price is going to continue to go up every minute that you don't take us up on that offer.
Yeah, that's one thing that's interesting about podcasts is that, a lot of traditional advertising dollars, over time, it's been leaving broadcast television, moving towards different sort of mediums. And when you have a company like Gimlet, which is basically producing, it's a podcast network that's been producing content, $230 million just for their shows and the content that they've created. That's pretty amazing, especially when you consider that Google bought YouTube for $1.65 million in 2006, and that's they say it's probably worth over $100 billion now, which is probably accurate. It's such a big thing. Amazon buying Audible for $300 million in 2008, and Gimlet is a podcast network that puts out a few shows, and $250 million right there, folks. That's big.
It is big, but I wonder why they bought them. Because, like, both Gimlet and Anchor had trouble, or have had trouble, like really, turning that into revenue, building up huge numbers of listeners, right? So there's several reasons why a company buys another company. One could be to just basically shut them down because they see them as potential competition. The other one could be a technical, acquisition. They like the technology. They want to, bring it into Spotify. And then the gamble there is that the massive network of Spotify listeners will want to get into creating their own podcasts. Maybe that's what they're going to do. But, it could just simply be that they've bought them to shut them down because they see them as a potential future threat. We don't know yet.
I think it's a great move. And, we are actually building out the Bad Podcast Network, which includes the Bad Crypto Podcast, the Bad Boys of Tech, and the Crypto Chick with Rachel Wolfson. So maybe one day they will come knocking on our door and tell us that.
Yeah. The Anchor thing is interesting to me because I know that recently, Anchor came out a few years ago, and it was just real easy. You press a button, you can do up to a minute sort of an audio recording. Then they advanced that into being able to do your own full podcast and let it kind of go as long as you wanted. Is Spotify going to pull that in? Because that would be interesting. It's like letting users create their own sort of messaging. Or what if they started taking that technology and allowing users to become DJs, where you could literally pull in the Anchor technology and then say, and the next song I'm going to play is going to be the Beatles, blah blah blah. You're going to love it. Tune in. This could conceivably allow folks to become DJs.
I am a DJ. I am what I play. Just because I know Stuart wants to see this, I'm going to share this screen with the viewers here. And there you could see the bad boys of tech is been emojified.
Literally the worst thing I've ever seen.
Look at Stuart's face with the big red lights over there. Just like it's like a nice. That was really horrible.
Yeah,
it's truly, truly, truly awful, and
truly bad.
I reiterate, looking straight down the camera, do not use emoji mosaic for anything.
So, what would you say about Pokemon Go, Stuart? Would you also tell people not to use Pokemon Go?
No, I thought Pokemon Go was cool. It was, and there's still many, many, many people playing it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're starting to see AR come into mainstream apps, and there's a story here about Google Maps starting to use AR navigation. That's
also a terrible segue. It's just I feel a bit grumpy tonight, obviously.
Really?
Hey. Pirates call AR. Arr!
I've been waiting for this. Back in the day, Google I/O, Google did actually say, "Hey, we're going to do this. We're going to bring out an AR version of Google Maps. This is going to be the future." They did actually, basically have a demonstration back then of a potential future for it, which is they were going to potentially have like an augmented reality fox that would, show you the way. I feel that was overkill, and they probably decided not to do that because Google is about simplicity. But yeah, I mean, you basically are going to be able to hold up your phone in front of your face. You'll be able to see where you're walking. It'll show you directions. The potential future for things like this is that as you move it around, you could have little flags popping out of the shops with the reviews and, what star rating they've got and what they do, so that as you're walking around streets, following the instructions to get to your destination, you can also see star ratings and descriptions for all of the shops that you're passing by, which of course is what Google would love to turn this into, because that is additional potential advertising revenue, because you could get your shop featured in an augmented reality world.
For sure. Especially as glasses start popping up, right? People start using AR glasses down the road. I think this could be really handy, because how often are you in a big city and you have maps open, Google or Apple, and you're literally going, okay, am I going the right direction? Do I know where is the right way to go? Because it sometimes does not pick up. Those big buildings block your signal, and you're like, I've been in different cities. I'm going the right way. And then all of a sudden it kicks on and goes, nope, you need to go back that way. And I'm like, damn it, I just walked down this block here. So this could be quite helpful. I like that. You can actually see the buildings. You can see the markers instead of just the nebulous 2D that you have now.
Mm-hmm. I think it'll be pretty cool. By the way, I've just we're replacing Stuart's photo, his live video feed, with this more accurate photo of him tonight. So thank you, Mr. Grumpy.
One of the most incredible days of my entire life was when Grumpy Cat followed me on Twitter, and I was not already following Grumpy Cat. Grumpy Cat chose me. Incredible.
I know why.
I met Grumpy Cat, and I got to interview Grumpy Cat at the International Toy Fair a couple of years ago at the Javits Center. In fact, I'll link to the video of that interview in the show notes. I tried to make him smile. I failed miserably.
I bet that was an interesting interview. So,
yeah,
Grumpy Cat, what do you like to eat?
I told him jokes. I told him cat jokes, and he was not amused. But
he was not meowsed.
He was not amused. Okay, so you are on the go all the time, Stuart, and here's another excellent segue for you, whether you think so or not, grumpy dude. Let's talk about this.
Most used travel apps. Being a digital nomad, I do use a lot of different apps. I use a lot of little gadgets here and there. It's really, really important to me to make sure I get the best flight deals, the best, hotel deals when I rarely, do stay in a hotel. Tonight is one of those rare occasions. Typically I tend to stay with friends, but sometimes I get an Airbnb and invite friends to come stay with me instead. Last resort is a hotel. And being able to get a hotel at the cheapest possible price is really, really important. I use things like Momondo and Hopper for flights. I use Trivago and Hotwire. for hotel rooms. And of course, I use the ubiquitous Airbnb, which, according to this, Airbnb climbed up to number 4 spot last year, overtaking Marriott, Hilton, and Hyatt. It's a remarkable thing in 2019. When I was growing up, my mum would say to me, "Don't go around to strangers' houses," and now we've literally got an app that lets us go around to strangers' houses. But,
don't go in strangers' cars, and we get in Ubers every day.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it is so crazy. But it's like, so here are the 5, right? If you're keeping track, Starwood Hotels app's the most popular one, then Airbnb, Marriott, Hilton, and Hyatt. Those are the top hotel ones. But I'm with Stuart as well. I like to find alternative. Airbnb is I'll typically use that. Hotel Tonight has been one. Like if you're trying to get a cheap hotel in an interesting place, like in a nice, cool Hotel Tonight works pretty well. We've already talked about Waze. If we're talking about travel in general, that's one. Obviously, Yelp, Uber. Skip Lagged is the one that I like. You talked about Momondo and you talked about Hopper. Skip Lagged is another one that basically finds those flights. Like if you want to, I don't know what the name of the term is for them, but it's like if I want to fly to Denver, but it's cheaper for me to fly from Kansas City to Denver and then to Portland, but I just get off the flight in Denver, and it's like there's these fares, these hidden city fares that happen that Skip Lag actually finds. So you can find some really good deals with that app there.
I like the United app. I'm United 1K. They just updated it. It's pretty darn cool. And also, I'm going to Disney World here in a couple weeks, and their app for in the park use. So, making your reservations, getting your fast passes ahead of time, and then seeing the waits for each of the rides, whichever park you're in, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 120 minutes, whatever it is, you could see how long the waits are from within the app. And that makes it really useful to decide, am I walking across the park for this now, or am I going to wait till later?
Dude, I missed 1K United by $800. That was it. And I could be United 1K just like you, but I'm not.
Dang it. So, Stuart, you found this Bounce app. Is this one that you're using?
It's one that I'm going to test. I got recommended it by somebody else. It's very recent. Like it's only just launched. When you do travel around a lot, if you turn up with checked baggage or, any kind of bags or luggage and all you want to do is you just want to go and actually explore the city. Finding a place to put your bags can be a little bit difficult. I mean, you can always just rock up like an absolute rock star into a hotel and pretend you're staying there and say, "Oh, could you just look up my bags for a few hours?" But not everyone can get away with that. Bounce is starting in the United States, all the major cities, New York, San Francisco, etc. And basically, you can find a place, whether it be a hotel or stores, and you can go and you can put your bag in there. It's like $6 a day, and they'll look after it. They'll keep it safe. You get to go and enjoy the place that you're visiting. And then you can go and pick your bag up later and just carry on with your travel. I think it's a nice little smart solution. And one of the nice things about it is you're covered for $5,000 worth of insurance. So if anything does happen to your bag, that's the universe telling you that you don't need those things anymore. But at least you get $5,000 to buy new things.
$6 a bag a day.
Yeah.
Now,
That's true.
We are content creators, and I've been doing, all of us have been doing content for years, and I came upon a tool this week which has blown my mind. If you are doing a podcast, if you're doing YouTube videos, if you're doing Instagrams, if you're doing Facebook Lives, this tool, repurpose.io, allows you to create workflows to repurpose this content. It's $20 a month for the full service. In a heartbeat, I dropped it down to do this, and I have set up 7 different workflows. I am taking my Facebook Live broadcasts from both the page I put them on and my personal page, and I'm repurposing them to to YouTube and to my other podcast, The Joel Comm Show. just the audio portion of it. I'm taking my Facebook Lives, putting them on YouTube. I'm taking the Bad Crypto podcast and sending it to SoundCloud because it hasn't been going there. I'm taking this show, the Bad Boys of Tech, and they've got a tool that will put a still video, a still card with it with a waveform display, and sending it to my YouTube channel. All of this for one fee. It's pretty incredible. Repurpose.io.
That's pretty fancy, Mr. Joel.
That actually sounds like an incredibly useful thing. I really like it.
It's super fancy. Again, links to this in the show notes, along with all of the other articles and tools that we mentioned at badboysoftech.com/004. And as we finish up on apps, I want to talk about a story that I located on the BBC News because it's very moving. A lot of people like to crap on video games, and just like they'll crap on social media. And I think there's good and bad to all these tools. They're amoral. And this is a game that I've been playing since it came out in 2004. Of course, it's World of Warcraft, one of Blizzard Entertainment's biggest games, that at one point had something like 16 or 17 million that were subscribed to it at $14.95 a month. I don't even want to think about how much money I've given them. But this story here out of Norway is about this family that had a boy with a rare form of multiple sclerosis. The child, his name was Mats, wasn't supposed to live to be 20. He made it to 25. But the family discovered just the day before this young man passed away that all of the time he spent on the computer, he was actually building a family of people from around the world that he played thousands of hours of World of Warcraft with. So they were so involved in his life from all over the world that when he passed, they collectively mourned from all these different locations. And it's a really great article, and I recommend that you guys go in and read this. I think you'll see a different side to how video gaming can bring people closer together.
Now, when did you get on World of Warcraft, Joel?
2004. Yeah,
2004.
I've been on since the beginning. I've bought every expansion. I'm pretty bored with it now. It only took 15 years, but on and off over the years. But it was something that both of my kids have played, and we've shared a lot of experiences in WoW, and we'll sometimes reminisce and say, oh, remember that time we did this in this raid and this thing happened. And you create actual memories in games, and there's ways to bond in doing so. So that's just part of my forever geekiness.
That's interesting. So aside from the action packs and the things that you've upgraded, you've spent about $3,500 just on the monthly fee. So you know
that could be possible. But I've also
the thing about video games. Like, I've been involved in video games ever since I was a very young kid. I've been. I was an independent video game developer. I've been part of the industry for a long, long time. Games create these kind of communities, and there's a lot of bad things written about video games over the years. But the fact is, there are really awesome gold standard studies that show that video games are actually good for you in so many ways. And people that think that video games cause people to go and shoot other people and all this kind of stuff, it just doesn't stack up. The evidence doesn't stack up at all. In fact, like 18 out of 20 video games are not even adult rated. They're not even 18 and above. They're mostly for kids. And video games can sharpen your mind. They can sharpen your reactions. They can build community, give you a social life. They're really quite remarkable, and we should embrace them much, much more and not demonize them.
Well, I would say this: everything in moderation, right? Because I realized in the Nintendo 64 era, after I had spent 150, 180 hours or something trying to master The Legend of Zelda, I just said, oh my God, I just spent 100, almost 200 hours trying to solve this video game. I could have used that learning how to code better, developing additional skills. And so I would say this is that, have it be the icing on the cake of life, not have it be the full cupcake, right? Because if you're spending all of your time playing video games, you know, I would say, you know, unless you're earning money, you're one of those streamers on YouTube and Twitch that's earning ridiculous amounts of money playing video games all day, then obviously that's working for you. Most people are not going to get paid playing video games, so I would say play, but not all the time. Good Lord.
Well, but it worked out for this kid. I mean, that's the whole point, is that you never know what somebody is going through, and he created a whole life. Not just imaginary, he created a life through participating in World of Warcraft.
Yeah, that's sweet.
There's a really interesting thing that happens, like whenever there's a major video game release, like for example, when the Super Nintendo came out, like kids were just burying themselves into the Super Nintendo, like you, right? And spending hours and hours and hours. And then there was a study done that showed that what actually happens is children normalize their lives themselves. There was a spate where it was video games, and the kids were sitting in their bedrooms and just playing. And then they realized by themselves they weren't interacting with their friends. They weren't out there kicking a ball in the park. They weren't out there climbing a tree. And so they normalized. Like, as you say, everything in moderation, including moderation. You know, it's... you know, when you get onto a particular thing, like maybe you've got a favorite song and you just play it on repeat 200 times every single day, right?
After a while, you get sick of it.
Yeah, you're missing out on so many other experiences you could be having, but it's your choice, and you can always make another choice.
And it's my choice to discuss a couple gadgets that I just got. How's that for a segue, Mr. Stuart Rogers?
That was nice, and a really nice sting in there as well.
I think I talked about the TV that I was purchasing on a previous episode, and it arrived, you know, after going to CES and seeing these new 8K televisions. I realized that, whoa, the 4Ks must be a lot cheaper now. And so I ordered this LG 65-inch. Look how thin this thing is. It's 4K Ultra HD Smart TV. I got it for $750. It's arrived. It's plugged in. I upgraded from a 48-inch screen to the 65-inch. It takes up, you know, a beautiful spot in my living room. The picture looks great. It connects to my my Echo, and so I could actually tell the Echo. I could say, Alexa, tell LG to play Hulu. And boom, it automatically launches the app, and I'm in it. And there is an LG app on my iPhone now that acts as a remote control, and pretty cool stuff. And I'm in no hurry to get an 8K. Like in a few years, those prices will be down because we'll have 16K. Right?
I can't even believe these prices. Like the 49-inch one on Amazon Prime right now, $378. Like. Yeah.
Wow.
For a 50-inch TV, essentially. That's huge. And it's 4K, and it's a smart TV under $400. Like, wow, the prices have gone way down. I remember when these started being released at CES a few years back, and the prices of these things was just ridiculous. $5,000, $8,000.
That's amazing. Are you sure that, you know, by having a 65-inch TV, you're not just overcompensating for something there, Joel?
I'm overcompensating for the 48-inch TV that I had. So,
I mean, maybe Jeff Bezos has got a 65-inch TV and he's overcompensating. And that's why when those photos released. You
know, at the CES, we talked about the Samsung display, the Wall, which is 200 inches, and so that is coming. You know, we've seen in so many of the futuristic films that pretty soon our whole wall will be this image, and that image can become a background. And who needs windows when I can, you know, be on the beach or in the forest or in the desert or wherever just by putting it up on my wall. So I'm not quite.
So glad I don't have a house and I don't watch TV.
Yeah.
I watch so little TV too. It's just crazy. Although my monitor here, my big monitor, is a 42-inch TV, which is now I'm feeling like I got a tiny penis over here now with my 42.
Oh my. Last piece of tech, something else that I just recently got is thanks to you, Travis. I've had one smart bulb for years. I bought a LifeX bulb many years ago on Kickstarter, and I've had it in my living room. But you told me about this Philips smart bulb kit. It's 4 bulbs with the network hub. And now from my app on the iPhone, I control. I've got 2 in my office, 1 in my bedroom, and 1 in my living room. I've got them programmed to come on at certain times of the evening and turn off and auto dim. There are different color schemes. It's $172 for the whole set, and I absolutely love it.
Travis has an auto dim mode as well. Isn't that right, Travis?
That's true. But what's cool about this, I have the exact same thing as well. So now I changed my light color, and now my cool background goes away. I've loved this thing. It's like, and what's really cool about it is there's apps that will allow you to, so they'll be in action. Like there's one that's like, you can set it like a fireplace. And so like all the lights are like a shade of orange, but they're kind of flickering, which I find was pretty cool. And I've always been a fan of this. And then if you go on the website, if this, then that, you can go there and like, so for example, if it starts raining outside, all of my light bulbs will turn blue. And then I go, oh, it's raining outside. Or if it gets below a certain temperature outside, I'll know, oh, wow, look, it's this color. It's cold outside. Or when my Kansas City Royals win the game, like they'll turn blue and then they'll flash. Like it'll flash like 5 or 7 times and then they'll go back to the regular color. And then like at nighttime, it's about time for bed because I like to stay up late. When it hits 1:30, if I'm still up, they'll dim really low. And then at 2 o'clock, they turn off. And then so it's time for me to go to bed.
And it's time for Mr. Stuart Rogers to go to bed because it's very late in the UK. And we appreciate everybody listening to this episode of Bad Boys of Tech. We've actually recorded this one on video because we're looking at some outlets to potentially get this show on smart TVs so that you can watch from your 65-inch or your small, not overcompensating 48-inch TV. And we'd love to hear from you guys. Why don't you write us, badboysoftech@gmail.com. Let us know what you think of the show. Let us know if Stuart is too grumpy for you. If there's not enough scatological jokes on the show, we'd love to know that as well. And gentlemen, anything else to say before we close out?
I'd just like to ask you, how many smart bulbs do you think it takes to change a light bulb?
How many smart bulbs does it take to change a light bulb?
Yeah.
Is there a punchline for this?
That's smart. Surely they can just replace the light bulbs themselves.
Replace themselves? Yeah, it's kind of like smart water. Every time I drop $4 on a bottle of smart water, I think this stuff ain't working.
Yeah, that's so true. Hey, also, guys, if you have a cool gadget or you have something you want us to review, do that. Send us an email, badboysoftech@gmail.com. We'll send you over the address, and then we can actually do a review of your project.
Maybe.
If it doesn't suck.
Yeah. Maybe not.
Yeah. Don't send it to Stuart Rogers, though, because he doesn't have a home, and he doesn't have enough room in his bag for your stuff.
Yeah, don't send me physical stuff. But if you have come across an amazing app that has recently been launched, tell us all about that as well. We want to hear all about the apps, not just travel apps, but anything that you find incredibly useful that's going to make your day better and brighter.
Awesome. Badboysoftech@gmail.com. Catch y'all on the next episode. Until then, be geeky or nerdy or whatever. Go do something nerdy.
The Bad Boys of Tech